If you're prejudiced, just come up here.
My feeling is that if we stop doing the efforts, I think we will be taken over with a tsunami of hate.
Thank you for being honest. Liar, liar, liar.
It's something that gives them an opportunity to bring out a side of them that maybe they didn't know. You know, creativity, which I didn't think my son was interested in making stuff like this. He never was. And it's great for social skills, it's great for self-esteem. So there's a lot of different things that this program teaches.
We're going to take half the groups up. You guys are going to look at the work. I feel like people's backgrounds is really important. And then when you make art, you immediately see where people come from and where they're going.
All right, is the other side flat? I don't consider myself the boss around here. That's the thing. I try to make it as free of an environment as possible. I don't like to limit them. I don't bring them in and say, this is your assignment for the day, go do it.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Classroom Close-Up New Jersey. I'm your host, Marie Bliston. Thanks for being here today. 2016 is a year that will be remembered for the staggering number of luminaries who left us, people who brightened our world through their actions, words, and life work. Last summer, a light went out when we lost someone who may be familiar to our regular viewers, Dr. Paul Winkler, Executive Director of the New Jersey Commission on Holocaust Education, appeared on our show many times over his long career, each time reminding us that we must not be bystanders. It was the message he shared with thousands of students and educators over the decades. So we begin this episode by remembering a man who touched so many with his mission to raise Holocaust and genocide awareness. We remember Paul Winkler.
Like a teacher one time said to me, "Oh, Paul, everybody in my class can spell Holocaust." I said, well, that's not really the most crucial thing. What do they feel? What do they care about?
Since the early 1970s, New Jersey has been a leader in Holocaust education. Today, we're joined by Dr. Paul Winkler, head of a commission that designs and implements Holocaust and genocide education and awareness in our state. Dr. Winkler, welcome to Classroom Close-Up New Jersey.
Thank you.
Say hi, Dr. Winkler. Hi.
The Holocaust Commission was established in 1982 when Governor Tom Kean appointed the first commission in the country to look at studying the Holocaust and all issues of genocide dealing with bias, prejudice, and intolerance. If you're prejudiced, just come up here. But if you're not prejudiced, if you don't have any prejudice, go to the back room.
My feeling is that if we stop doing the efforts, I think we will be taken over with a tsunami of hate.
Thank you for being honest. Liar, liar, liar. Absolutely, you have prejudice. We all have it.
That's what Holocaust genocide education is about. Remembering the past and then helping the students become better people. We have to help our students understand they are part of a bigger world. They are not isolates on an island somewhere. That everything they do impacts someone else. So we are our brother's keeper.
Terrorism, bullying, prejudice, they're all linked together. Hate is hate. And in our schools, any way we can get survivors and students together is very important for us.
Being a child survivor, a hidden child, it's very important to me to share my story with the students throughout the state. We couldn't put up a fight, we couldn't mobilize our forces, and we were suddenly found ourselves also an occupied country.
And I tell them too that all this genocides that are happening even today is all because of ethnic and religious differences, people of the same nationality and not respecting each other. I think Paul has been unbelievable. It is just amazing what that man has done.
There's a story that we use quite often called the hangman. The hangman came to town, and they came for the communists. And I was not one, so I did nothing. And the hangman did his job.
His heart is in the right place. He is such a mensch.
And they came for the trade unionists, and I was not one, and the hangman did his job.
He is just the nicest, kindest person.
And they came for the gypsies, and I was not one, and the hangman did his job.
He's just an amazing human being.
And they came for the Jews, but I was not one, and the hangman did his job.
He cares for everyone.
And then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me, and the hangman did his job.
I think there's only one Paul Winkler on this earth.
And for myself, I need to find the person that's going to continue this kind of level. Someday I'm going to have to say it's time to sit back a little bit. I thank you for the opportunity to share this.
Paul Winkler's memory lives on in the hearts of all who knew him and through the work of the Commission. As an educator, Paul considered children our best hope for moving toward a better future. And so in his honor, we move forward now, continuing to focus on how educators are providing real-world opportunities that will sustain and enrich the lives of young people. Our next stop, Franklin Avenue Middle School, where beads are big business.
Sixth period is magical because it's our time for Beads and Me. The kids come back in from lunch and we look at our order board, we play music in the background, and we go to work together, and it's a time for them to just feel good and make something, and everybody's a success. It's not they're taking a test at the end. They're not studying for anything. It's just a time to be creative and a time to be inventive.
Beads and Me is the name of the business that Dr. Marcy Prior students have been running out of their classroom at Franklin Avenue Middle School for almost 10 years.
Back in 2007, I was looking for creative ways to teach my students in the art room, and I had stumbled upon beaded ID lanyards, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this would be great. And I thought the art teacher would do it with the students, but then I saw all the learning that would be involved in it, and then decided to do it within the classroom.
Noreen, you're gonna come and work on the ABC lanyard, the FAM sub-lanyard back here.
Beads and Me obviously teaches reading, writing, following directions, money, financial literacy, profit, loss, revenue. We also learn democratic principles, giving back to charity chosen by the students. So all those skills that may not be meaningful for them in the textbook become meaningful.
This is where you put the person's name that they ordered, the style that they want.
The order has certain things. So you have to put in a hoop. What color? What's the name of the design? Did the person pay? Where do we mail it to? Sometimes we have the lanyard already made up and somebody goes, oh, I like that. I want that. But instead of using silver beads, can I have black beads? So the children have to problem solve, get the black beads. And then they need to get all the materials for their task. They then come back to their desk and work on the task, sometimes together and sometimes independently. At the end, they come to the finishing station where they have to measure it out, make sure it's 17 inches, make sure the pattern is the same on both sides, make sure the beads are of good quality. And at the very end, then they present it to me. And the only thing I put on is the magnetic closure at the end.
Beads and Me's first customers were the teachers and staff who had a real need for the product.
Everybody throughout the building has to wear their ID to get around and to be identifiable. And then our subs also have Beads and Me lanyards where they're labeled as FAM subs, so they're easily recognizable. So then it just took off from there. People in doctors' offices and people who work in hospitals or people who would just wear IDs for their jobs.
These are the lanyards. These are bookmarks. These are eyeglass chains. These are charm bracelets, and these are bracelets.
This really is a business, so we sell the product all over. We set up at the Franklin Lakes Town Fair, so the kids are able to sell to people we haven't ever met. And we sell to the kids within the building. Of course, the teachers as well within the district also buy, but mostly we sell to people we've never met.
How many designs have you created?
12 designs, just of his very own design.
It's something that gives them the opportunity to bring out a side of them that maybe they didn't know. You know, creativity, which I didn't think my son was interested in making stuff like this. He never was. And it's great for social skills, it's great for his self-esteem. So there's a lot of different things that this program teaches.
For one former student named Teddy, Beads and Me became a calling.
My son was part of Dr. Pryor's Beads and Me program, and she inspired him artistically. We didn't realize he had this wonderful talent, and it's led to so many other things. Every Saturday he takes classes at FIT in New York City, jewelry making classes, and this summer he spent a week at the Savannah College of Art and Design.
Teddy's passion for jewelry making has even grown into an online business where he sells his artistic creations.
He found something that he is exceptionally good at, and he loves it.
On the day we visited, some of Pryor's first Beads and Me students had returned to share what the experience meant to them.
I'm a current college student at Bergen Community College, and Beads and Me was real key to just learn about fundamentals of setting out business goals, and this right here really got me to the next level to whatever I was going to do in the future.
Beads and Me taught me how to be more independent, just following my own rhythm and my own style. Even though we were all working on one thing, we were doing it individually, but as a whole.
Okay. Oh, the M? Yeah. Oh, okay. Here's an M right here.
I definitely look back to this experience and I'm thankful for it because now I'm able to interact with people and I know how business works.
During 10 years of helping students and raising money for charity, Beads and Me has received plenty of awards and recognition. But for Pryor, the real profits are measured in student outcomes.
The best recognition is what I see each and every day from my students, the smiles on their faces, them working as a team, being proud of the product that they just developed and made on their own, coming up with their own creations. And when they come back and visit and I hear those amazing stories, those are the real awards for me.
When we come back, a cultural exchange through art after this.
In this technological age, we have to get the children collaborating face-to-face with each other so that they can collaborate at a later age on some of these innovations that we're seeking to make our world a better place. So I find that, especially because they're so involved with gaming and technological devices on the outside, it's really important to get them talking face-to-face so that they can, like I said, meet all their goals and achieve what they set out to achieve in life and be the best they can
be. This is going to be a really great day. It's going to be a celebration of the end of the project, a culmination. This is the second half of the HIP Grant Art Connects.
Last season, we visited Jeff Hull's classroom to see the portraits his art students painted of people that inspired or impacted their lives. This year, students from the Rivera Community Middle School in Trenton, who also worked on the same project, visited the Chestnut Ridge students to share their portraits.
Yo, what's up?
What's up? How are you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Good to see you.
So we'll start from that.
Jeff and I earned a HIP grant from NJEA, and it teamed both of us up, one teacher from an urban school and one from a suburban school.
We brought you guys down here. We want to have you guys meet up with our students and talk about your artwork today.
Prior to the students painting their portraits, both Jeff and Robert introduced their students to the works of Horace Pippin, an African-American painter and World War I Army veteran. Pippin was injured in combat and lost the use of his right arm, but overcame this adversity and continued to successfully paint until his death in 1946. Both teachers hoped this would be an inspiration to their students.
I feel that the students were able to relate to him in a way that, since he had to overcome adversity, and for them to relate to the artist and to still have the strength to express themselves and do a painting, I feel they really connected with that.
We're going to take half the groups up. You guys are going to look at the work, and I want you guys to jot down some notes.
Cool.
That doesn't have that much space, right? It's very shallow space.
I'm writing how I see mostly neutral colors.
The reason why I like this the most is because the way she chose the colors, and it looks like it's going up and down.
I prepped them by telling them this is an opportunity to show their art, to show their best approach to painting. Here's a great opportunity. Each of you is sitting next to the artist that created the painting you just saw. So now you get to...
As the students were paired up from each school, they critiqued each other's work and also wrote about the experience.
Like, what made you paint that one specifically? I just liked the picture, I guess. It was a nice picture of my mom. I'm just writing that, like, he's my partner, and then, like, what I first saw when I looked at the painting. And so I saw that it's a man with, like, a background of, like, sky, and I thought that it was someone who, like, is important to him.
My portrait is my Uncle Jermaine. He inspires me to keep going on for greatness. He inspires me to keep striving, even though times can be hard, but you can still overcome that tough time. My father is in prison right now, and he's been in prison for 10 years. So without my father, I still should have like a father figure in my life, and he's like the father figure that stepped up.
What she did was like she had like a really good pattern in her background, and I really liked it because it showed that her person was like a generally happy person. Art gives me like a way to let out my feelings and tell everyone how I really am feeling about at the moment.
You could ask why the field, you know, what comes to mind? Like, why did you... I feel like people's backgrounds is really important. And then when you make art, you immediately see where people come from and where they're going.
Like I learned a lot about like the picture and to like look like forward into it, not just like judge it just by looking at it, like learn the story behind them. Today, I learned that each picture has a different story. Like you might look at it and then on closer inspection, like if you ask the artist, then you'll know the story behind it.
He is my life, he is my savior. The portrait is of my father because I wanted something to commemorate him for being such a powerful role model in my life.
Wow, I am looking at this artwork and I am so impressed.
Our host, Marie Bliston, was on hand to view the artwork and talk with the kids about the project and the inspiration behind their portraits.
So who was this?
I chose my uncle.
Okay, and?
I chose him because he just passed away 2 years ago.
Oh.
So that made me want to like draw him and everything about him that I miss.
How about you?
I picked my brother. His name's Jameson. He's 2 now. This was when he was 1. I chose him because even though he's little, but we still have a really big bond.
Math is hard, science is hard, reading is hard, but the hardest thing to do is to be an artist and to look at a blank piece of paper and actually get your hand moving and the pencil or paintbrush moving and create the final product, which we've seen. And for them to walk up there, see it displayed, that's awesome.
We found and we exposed the fact that all these students were expressing themselves through their portrait, through who they chose, who they were inspired by, and there was a lot of similar things that came forth. So artists, no matter where they come from, are still expressing themselves, and they're gonna say a lot of things every time they pick up a paintbrush.
Told me to come here.
The Wellness Center was started with a pediatric nurse practitioner on staff to offer full services Monday through Friday from 8 to 4.
Many of our students may not have access to a pediatrician elsewhere, so having the Wellness Center here at the elementary school really meets the needs of our families.
And then here is a height and weight machine.
That's the one I avoid.
Yes.
Cut that off. A makerspace, when I describe it to other teachers, is very simply a place where you make stuff. Yeah, that's the be-all and end-all, but there's a lot more involved, obviously. Instead of just screwing it straight in,
How did we make the other stuff stronger?
Oh, we do Craig tools.
Craig tool, thank you. It is a club, but the club is not exactly just robotics. We try to incorporate as many things as possible, whether it be 3D printing, 3D design, woodworking. It is a place for anyone really to come and design, build, prototype, explore, find your creativity. 75's 2x4x75, you need at least 14.
We need 14.
You have to teach design. You have to teach CAD and teach them how to build things in a computer, you know, so that's one thing. And then there's all the other things that we've kind of lost over the years, like basically industrial arts. But very early on in the year, I introduced them to designing in 3D on Google SketchUp. They designed some of the furniture around the room in there, and then we got donations to get the wood to build it. And they also designed the pool for underwater robotics. The problem is, putting a kiddie pool outside in the middle of winter is probably not gonna last that long. But we need to test the stuff, so we came up with the idea of building our own base for the pool right here in the classroom.
It's not gonna work, but it's okay.
Me and my team, we got together, we're like, okay, how are we gonna make a pool fit inside a box, basically?
Oh yeah, because you're right.
They're gonna build what is essentially a deck in the middle of the classroom to hold a 6.5-foot kiddie pool that we're gonna put a bunch of Lego robots flying through at hopefully fast speeds. We'll see how they do. You wanna do that in here?
Yeah. Okay, slide down.
So we had to imagine the box, and just weeks later we saw it, because we did it.
It's a place where is more things I like to do. So I like to tinker with things. I like to take things apart and put them back together. I like to work together on a team to problem solve. Everything connects with everything, and it's just a life-changing experience for me, because before I didn't have this. Now that I have it, I don't want to let it go. Okay, so basically what we have here is our tool wall. Well, it's still in the making. Basically, we have a lot of tools and not a lot of space to put them. Makerspace gives me a place where I can learn how to be more organized, learn how to be more balanced, and learn how to be more creative in my own ways.
These shells are the ones that we built with donated wood. I think the most valuable part of the Makerspace is definitely learning to be more creative. Like before, I wasn't a very creative person. And now, every time I have a problem, even in classes that don't relate to this, I see all the angles, and I'm able to differentiate between the ones that are gonna work and the ones that are not.
Fix this first, and then we'll work up to a full kit, all right? I don't consider myself the boss around here. That's the thing. I try to make it as free of an environment as possible. I don't like to limit them. I don't bring them in and say, this is your assignment for the day, go do it. They're always asking me for an example, and I never give them. I really don't. I want them to come up with their own ideas, because if it's not great, we'll fix it. If it's not what we were looking for, maybe we can use it for something else. There's no wrong answer, really. There's just different ways to come up with a solution.
This piece technically is pointing left, right, and the other one is pointing opposite. One would be, let's say, vertical, horizontal. I need the opposite, where they're like side by side. In the way that Borgoff puts it, it's like, it's not just there. You have to look for it. You have to try it. You have to see if it works. Get comfortable with it, kind of. It's like a way to learn yourself, kind of. Not like teachers always teaching. Sometimes you can just learn by yourself, or even your classmates, your partners, they teach you too.
Right, putting it straight.
Mr. Borgoff, as a person, he's one of my favorite teachers and favorite people in life. I know I can count on Mr. Borgoff for anything if I ever needed it.
My favorite thing about Makerspace is that the students created it, and that it's a student-driven space for them. And they manage it with a teacher as an advisor, but primarily it's their space.
When I stand up on a chair and look down at a group of 20 kids not talking to me, ignoring me, because they're busy, and they're speaking to each other like colleagues, not like students, like experts and teachers themselves. I've had my students teach each other more than I've taught them. And it's been amazing. I don't want to give them an education. I want them to find their own. And when they actually do, it's glorious.
Makerspaces are all about exploring new ideas, discovering what you're passionate about, and sharing your passion to inspire other people. We began this episode with our tribute to Paul Winkler, who will forever be remembered for the passion he shared every day. By his example, he leaves us with a legacy of hope and potential. Most notable in the classrooms we visit each week, in the faces of students who are connecting through experiences that will stay with them all their lives. It's been our pleasure to share these experiences with you. On our next show, Keeping Children Healthy, find out more on our website. And until next time, for Classroom Close-Up New Jersey, I'm Marie Bliston. See you soon.
What do they care about?